Hello and welcome to the Connection Compass podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Louise Evans. In this episode, I sit down with Kathy Sanderson, who, alongside her husband, has created a thriving community of healing, connection, and family gatherings on their 25 acres of ancient woodland and meadowland in southwest Wales. Kathy shares her deeply personal journey through the heartbreak of 12 miscarriages in 4 years, the healing modalities that helped her uncover the roots of her pain, and how inner child work transformed not only her own life but also her relationship with her family. We explore how childhood experiences shape our adult relationships, the importance of breaking generational patterns, and why creating new memories and genuine human connection is one of the most powerful forms of healing. We also talk about building community after lockdown, following your calling even when it feels risky, creating intimate events where people feel truly seen and heard, and Kathy's exciting plans for the future as she continues her work in healing, herbalism, and holding space for others. Welcome, Kathy. Welcome to the Connection Compass podcast. It's wonderful that you're here. For our listeners, please could you share a little bit about yourself?
Hi there, I am Kathy Sanderson, and together with my husband David, we run the community camping and healing gatherings here on top of our land in southwest Wales. We've got 25 acres of ancient woodland and meadowland. We just exist to bring people together.
That sounds wonderful. It sounds wonderful. Sounds like something I need right now at the moment. When we first met, you told me that you were inner child healer. Can you share your journey about doing that work and how you got into?
I suffered 12 miscarriages in 4 years,
Gosh.
and it led me to go down a very long route of what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Why can't these babies come through? I'm very fortunate. I've got 3 children, and I had 3 losses during those times of having 3 children. But I lost the first one of these 12 on my son's first birthday at 6 weeks. Fortunately, as a 1-year-old, they don't really know what's going on, but it meant that I was probably much less present in those 4 years than I could have been. However, so every healing that I was learning and doing was to bring these babies in. And I was learning Reiki, did Reiki 1 and 2, I did theta healing basic and advanced, soul realignment, so I learned all about Akashic records, light language practitioner, and then I found forensic healing, which is encompasses about 67 different modalities, and really loved forensic healing, loved how deep it could go to find that root cause. And light language was working. I used to go to Slimming World. So the ladies there, I just do some light language on their stress or their aches and pains. But I wanted to know why it worked. So I moved to the forensic healing. So as a forensic healer, I noticed that everyone who was coming to me was related to their childhood. And I began to focus just on childhood. And I ran an inner child healing retreat, day retreat. So my husband, amazing man, and I don't know if you've seen the lodge he's building down the bottom of the land, but he built me a healing lodge so I could see clients and run little workshops and things. So I did a day workshop. The first person there was my mother, which was really kind of her to support me. And I knew all about my mother's awful childhood and knew everything that was done to her, and really wanted to help to support my mother. But I didn't realize that my inner child was so hurt, so angry, so alone and feeling rejected, feeling jealous, all of these things. And I would be like, well, no, because obviously I had a really good childhood. I had my parents were together. They both worked. We had 2 cars. We went on lots of holidays. I had clean clothes. I had whatever I wanted. And I learned an incredibly good ethic of work. So no, what on earth could be wrong with me? And I had a breakdown when I was 30, a nervous breakdown. And I was working for an amazing company, Shore Trust, and their whole thing is getting people back into work. So they supported me with a counsellor who I continued with. And it was during one of these sessions that she said, "So what was it like growing up with a depressed mum?" And I said, "Oh no, I was in my 20s when mum diagnosed with depression." She said, "That might be the case, but your mum was depressed since she lost her mum when I was 4." I'm like, you know what, I mean, a penny drops. You're
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God, that makes so much sense." But I didn't move into the healing stuff. I mean, thank God I was in counselling because I met my husband, and I would have just let him go because my mum and dad's relationship was quite turbulent. There was my mum never feeling good enough. My dad raised in an Irish Catholic home, so going to the pub and being out and bringing the women out, but the women would go off and talk to their friends, and my mum wasn't from that background. So, like, my dad thought it was normal to come home, to, like, finish work on a Friday, go to the pub, only have a few pints, but that's what was always done because that's where they used to pay you, was the pub.
Yeah.
And then he liked sports and stuff. So it was quite there was a tension running through all the time.
Yeah.
And whilst they loved each other very much, it meant that I just didn't wanna be tied into that kind of relationship, so subconsciously, I would always choose the ones that were never gonna be that way. So when I met my husband, I was able to be working on those issues, so I didn't let him slip through my fingers or deliberately make him go away because I was working on finding a better way. I was unpacking. So running these inner childhood workshops was quite funny because I was helping everyone else's inner child, but not mine.
Thinking of yourself, your own experiences, and then people that you're helping, do they know that they need to come and do some inner child work, or is it something that they're drawn to, or they don't really know? They just, I don't know, they're just drawn to the workshop because that's sometimes how it works, isn't it? You're just drawn to something, you don't really understand why, but there's this pull, this almost like energetic pull.
So when I started in Birmingham, because you never guess I'm from Birmingham, um, it was clients that I was working with. So they come to me for a variety of issues. I had a lady come to me who wanted to work on her fear of needles because she was going to go for IVF. And we ended up working for 2 years, and actually, it was her inner child issues that was blocking her from becoming pregnant. She was in her 40s, and
Mm.
she went for her IVF treatment because 'cause we'd worked on all of those things. She was having hypnotherapy as well, and I remember there was, one session where we were talking about what it would be like to have a baby in her life and those types of things, and I felt that last bit of resistance from her inner children just go. And I knew that she would be pregnant. So the next month when she came, she was pregnant without IVF because the IVF failed. So people find you from a whole different ways. Now I'm in Wales and I was looking at my Google profile yesterday and I'm like, oh, so it doesn't talk about mushroom tinctures and magic balm. It still talks about healing. And that's why people do find me still through Google. And if I've got a free time, I will see them. But the community gatherings that we run, one of the workshops is inner child healing. And of course, the majority of people come to that, one, because it's my workshop, but two, because of the curiosity of it. And then they're like, oh my God, I didn't even know that that was a thing. I thought that was normal. I thought that how I was feeling was normal. I thought those experiences were normal. And it's only when other people are talking and you're realizing that it's not, that
Yeah.
the weight off your shoulders starts to lift, that huge thing of carrying that you weren't a good enough child, which is why your mum was so mad at you. You didn't put your toys away, so that's why dad left, those types of things.
Yeah.
And being able to see it from a totally different point of view gives people a different view on life and shifts them completely.
I imagine it's quite liberating as well, in that you have a new perception. You don't have to think of yourself in the way that you've thought yourself. It just changes, doesn't it?
If you've carried around So I have this nickname from the age of 2, and I'd totally forgotten about it. I was in theta healing, and like, why do I keep calling myself evil? Why do I keep calling myself bad and evil and naughty? And like, we were digging and digging, and I suddenly remembered that I had a nickname when I was 2 of Evil Edna from Willow the Wisp.
Oh,
Now you talk to my mum now, my mum still thinks that that's funny,
sorry,
and she
I'm
says
laughing. It's just
exactly.
I'm just laughing at Willow the Wisp. It's like a blast from the past. That's why I was laughing.
And everyone loved it. And
Mm.
apparently I, age 2, would have ridiculous tantrums and jump up and down, it'd be like my antennas would be cackling, and I was just like evil Edna. So, but what we don't realise is the fact that calling a child evil, it goes in because
Course
up
it does.
until the age of 6, 7, I know, got kids. It's a Bible. It's your Bible. All your experiences, all of your things that you see and overhear and are taught is becomes your Bible. So
Yeah.
if every time I dealing with my emotions in a way that I can't as a 2-year-old, I'm told I'm evil, what's that going to make me think? So understanding that, and I do still when I'm describing and in my workshops, I slip back into that evil thing because it's just imprinted, but it's about becoming aware so that you can flip that switch. And also, of course, it meant that I never had a derogatory or funny nickname for any of my children. And if ever my children ask me not to call them something, I don't. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
You're very much like those a sponge in those early years, like you're just literally just taking everything in.
And they didn't do it maliciously.
No,
It was
I
just like, "Oh my
know.
god, you're just like Evil Edna," and it's funny.
It's literally that simple, isn't it? It can
Yeah.
be something so simply not intended, but really does have an impact in those early years. So, what are your recommendations around inner child healing? What would you share with people out there? What would you want them to know?
I think it's really important. So when people come and work with me, one of
Mhm,
the first things I say is, "I know that you love your parents
mhm,
very much. However, we need to put them behind a wall. We need to build a brick wall behind them during our sessions
mm,
because we are dealing with you. And we've been taught from an early age, respect thy father and thy mother, and we know everything that they're going through. Now, we know it now. We didn't know it then. So the fact that mum was never around, we can take upon ourselves as we're not good enough, we didn't behave well enough, all of those things. But mum might not have been around because she had to go to work all the time because dad had left.
mm.
And whilst you as a child have got abandonment issues from your dad leaving and your mum never being there, as a 40 or 50-year-old woman now, you know mum wasn't there because she was doing her damnedest to make sure that you had something to eat and clean clothes and uniform to go to the expensive school, all of those things. But your inner child doesn't. And there becomes an incredible mismatch of energies when your inner child is saying, "But I felt this way." And you're saying, "Well, no, that's not a valid reason, is it? Because mum had to go to work." So you're constantly fighting against yourself. So putting them behind this brick wall means
Yeah.
that we only focus on you as a child.
And is it so in that instance, are we putting the boundaries? Are we learning to put boundaries in for ourselves and that
No.
conflict? How would you describe that? Because I suppose it comes to a point where you feel, well, I can't keep thinking this anymore because when you start to explore it and take it apart and understand it a little bit more, your whole perception changes, doesn't it?
As you as a 50-year-old woman,
Yeah.
but you're unless we can go back to this is the way I work. So
Yeah.
I work as time isn't relative. So whereas some people believe time is a linear line, I believe time is all intertwangled. So by what we do is we go back to the child at that age, and what I teach is so that you can do this all the time, that you can go back and talk to yourself, age 6, age 7, whatever age comes up. But so I always say 6, 7 because that's like the end of the first karmic cycle. And it seems that a lot of the first stuff relates to that. So when we go back, we say, I know it hurt. I know that you think it is because of this. I know it hurts that mum isn't around, but she's not around because she's doing this for us. And it hurts because we have, there's no one there, but I can be there for you. But then you don't grow up feeling abandoned. And you also understand why your mum's not there. So you can understand as a 7-year-old, but you don't get it.
Yeah.
You know? So by going back and being the older sister, the kind aunt, that type of person, we change those beliefs that were established in our Bible of I'm not good enough to spend time with, people always leave me, it's the normal to be alone, those kind of things. And we do things with them, like take them out, spend time with them, like a kind aunt or an older sibling would do. And by doing this, because the past doesn't exist. I'd give someone £1,000,000 if you could prove to me that your past exists, a physical thing, because your past exists in your mind as one thing.
Yeah.
Your past exists in someone else's mind, perhaps your mother's, as something totally different. And we go back and we change the past. And when I say we change the past, we change the memories about the past.
Yeah.
Because that's gone. Like Erhalt talks about, power of now. We should only ever be living in the now. If we're in the past, we are depressed. If we are living in the future, we are anxious. So living in the now is what we need to do. But if those memories are still coming up, then we go back and we create nice memories. So those nice memories remind us that, oh yes, so-and-so spent time with us. We are worth spending time with. Oh yes, I remember what it was like to have fun. We had so much fun those 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times you went back and you did something different. So then the world takes on this magical life. And when you meet people, you feel equipped to be on their level, those types of things. That's the way that I work in inner child healing.
So now we're going to talk about your beautiful community and your land and how that came about.
Yeah. So, like people say they have voices in their head. I had a download, a divine intervention. We sold our house in Birmingham June 21, just after lockdown. And our house, they were very kind and they said that we could stay until July, but they needed it to go through straight away because of the stamp duty freeze. So we had to go and live in a caravan park for over a week. And the only place we could get, because lockdown had lifted, you couldn't fly. Everywhere was full. The only place we could get was this place, far end of Kent, a caravan park that we'd never really ever want to go to. Everyone really closely crammed in, but no one talking to anyone.
Wow.
No, no one, everyone jumping that 2-meter thing. The only people who were communicating with the kids at the kids club at the end of the evening, that type of thing. And it felt so lonely. And you felt like, oh my God, you can probably guess I like talking, but you couldn't go and talk to somebody because there was just that imposed barrier that had been put up. So the minute, I remember it was on a Thursday night, and I'd just finished an inner child challenge. So I'd ran one for 5 days and we'd just finished it. And Dave had taken the kids out, because they were only little at that point, to get some sweets so they'd be out the way. And I just had this thing, well, what if we could just like put something on where everyone could come together and hug?
Yeah.
What if we could all come together in a field and hug? So Dave came back and I'm like, what do you reckon? Could we do this? Like, because there's the two sheep fields, and we could get people come in. And he's like, well, we could. So I spoke to my friends in Birmingham who'd ran workshops, and they said, yeah, let's do it, because we were so desperate just to do something. All the festivals, everything was stopped.
Yeah.
Okay, then. So I put it out on Facebook. 46 people I'd never met in 7 weeks, paid £100 per adult, kids 16 and under free, bring your well-behaved dog, and that's never changed. All came. All came, and we had the most amazing weekend. I'd never done anything like this. I had no idea what I was doing, but it worked. And everyone said, you have to keep doing this. And I'm like, my God, it was so much fun. The kids all playing together, getting to know people, dogs running about freely. It was just such a beautiful, beautiful weekend. And we were like, okay, then, so how do we keep doing this? So we had our next one in April. Then we had one in then August, a big one, and they were growing. They were big and big. And then we had one at the end of summer. By this time into 2023, we were having 3 workshops on at a time and kids stuff. And we were
Right.
filling 3 fields. And I met my best friend now there. But I didn't speak to her. I just seen her coming out of her tent with her 2 boys, 2 young boys at the time, and said hello. That was it. So when another friend I went to visit in Coventry, she said, oh yes, and Holly Swinton is at the Hub. And I'm like, oh yeah, she came to my thing, I think. I didn't get to talk to her. And I met her there, and we run our herbal things together and at our workshops, and it's just such a lovely friendship. And it made me think that if I didn't meet her, how many other people wasn't I meeting? How many other people weren't meeting each other because there's just too many? And I would never go to a festival because there's too many people. I hate queuing. I hate being surrounded by a load of people and not having one to talk to. So we scaled it right back, which is totally not what they teach you in business. It's all about scaling up, isn't it? We scaled it right back. We will only ever have a maximum of 25 adults. And I think that is manageable for everyone to get to know everyone. And it also means we can all fit into the yurt for our sound bath. We have our helpers and our volunteers and everything. And sometimes there can be 40 of us in there. But it's nice and cozy by that time because everyone knows each other. But I hate the idea of putting something on where people come and they still feel alone. And I cannot promote that we are community gatherings if that's happening. So we have a greeter, we have people that make sure that everybody is included, knows somebody. We have our women's circle, our men's rewire around the fire. One of the very first activities, because when you meet people, like you might see me and you might have all of these preconceptions because you've seen people like me before and it's how they've treated you. And then you're listening to people and you're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. There's no connection. Whereas if you are all in together in a women's circle or around the fire and people are allowed to talk, you realise that actually I've been through that. I'm going through that. I can support you. I can hold you. I can hold you in my heart. I can send you love. When everyone bears their soul, there's nothing left to have that friction. The group just gels that much quicker.
Apart from the sizing, when you realised that you felt that they were too big and you reduced it, has there been any other challenges along the way that you've worked through?
Oh
Or
yeah. So Wales. See, when we moved here, we didn't realise we were buying a farm, so it's agricultural. So we could run our events on the 28-day rule. Now in England, they extended it to 54s because they wanted to help tourism. Wales didn't. So that limited us, and we couldn't build anything. So we had to stay with like compost toilets, no running water, that type of stuff. So we had to put in planning permission. It took 18 months. They decided that we were treated like we were building an estate because our track was so big to get people down. It took the majority of our savings. So now we need to build it all back again so that we can build the accessible toilets, the accessible showers, so that parents can bring children who've got additional. We're not set up for major additional needs. A lot of neurodiverse children need to have these things and can't do compost toilet. In Wales, it's gorgeous. You know, the sun's out. There's nowhere better in Wales in the sun. But to keep that greenness, it's got to rain a lot. So we've got a covered seating area, but we want to build a kitchen diner. So even when it's raining, we can still do activities. We can still see the amazing views. But for the people who can't do the cold and the wet so much, so we've got all of these things that we want to build, but we have to build our lodges first so that we can get some income from our normal holiday rental that we're setting up. Then we can build these community things.
But I'm sure, so even though you've made this big decision, you've moved along with it, you built this community, okay, it's taken all your savings, but is it worth it, Kathy?
Oh
Is it?
gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
It is. You know, this weekend we've got our ancestral remedies weekend
Yeah.
workshop, which I run with Holly.
Mm.
And I love it. We just go around the land, we forage, we learn what to do with things. Well, we teach what to do with things, how to do it safely, but more about being with the land, connecting with the land, the energy of it, and knowing that you can make things, to trust your intuition. When I moved here, I didn't know a thing about plants. My husband loved gardening at the weekend. That was how he relaxed. So we had spent 5 years at Gardener's World, but mine was roses. I only went because he'd buy me a rose plant, and we had to leave most of those. The excitement of being here and from all of those people that I met and been taught about nettles and mushrooms and so many different plants that I am blessed to have growing on my land. I'm training now to be a herbalist
Yeah.
because I get so many people coming to me, how do I use this? How do I use that? So I need that insurance backing so I can tell people safely. But it was a friend who told me about lion's mane. And I'm like, oh my God, well, I think that really helped my son. So I'm going to grow some, of course, and make my own tincture. And watching the difference with him, and then everyone was like, well, can you make me some? So that's how my business grew. The fact that my neighbour came and helped us when we were putting up our bell tents in the first year, and I thought that she'd fell into a bush, and I said that, and I was mortified, and she was mortified when she said it was psoriasis. One, because I didn't know what it was, and two, because it was something that was affecting her so badly, and I'd suddenly had this, or make a balm. What? So I've been watching stuff on TikTok, on Facebook, make a balm. And like, I'll tell you what to put in it. Okay. So I made her this balm, and within 2 weeks, the psoriasis had cleared up. And she starts using it for these other things. And this is the balm, which is Kathy's Magic Balm, which is helping so many people across the UK and further afield. So it's been a real, I mean, we haven't even been here 5 years yet, but it's been a total immersion of the land, the energies of the land, and creating something which is so needed, which was never ever our plan. Everyone says, "Oh my God, you're living our dream." And I'm like, well, this was never our dream. This is not
Yeah.
what we planned to do. But I can't imagine doing anything else.
That is wonderful. It really is wonderful. And so what are you excited about coming up the next 6 months or so? Oh.
So we finish our weekend thingies
Mm.
at the end of September, because as I said, you know, Wales needs to stay green and it
Yeah.
gets cold. But we've got our woodland adventure days
Okay.
for the August. So for people who can't camp, People can't leave the house for long who are animals, you know.
Yeah.
So it's from 10 till 7 on the 5th of August and the 26th of August here on our land. Den building, forest schooly type activities, going to do some crafts, but it's all about family. So
Mhm.
it's not a creche. Do not come
Um,
and drop your children off. But for the people who don't want to go to Alton Towers and stand in a queue, it's £50 per adult. There's no extra parking. You don't have to pay for your extra children. £50 per adult for the whole day, 10 till 7. And you can camp extra if you want. Oh, you know, it's no problem. We're officially a campsite now. So looking at different ways we can serve our community, and there's no more it's proper fun. It's not commercialized fun. I could say this to someone again, "Well, you're still charging." And I'm like, "Well, I still need to make a living, and I am actually providing my land and my time." But it's not commercialism as in going to Alton Towers and having to pay a ridiculous amount for parking. And of course, Alton Towers is a lot cheaper this year, and all theme parks are a lot cheaper. But you tell me one small business that runs a theme park. It's
Yeah.
like a little another backhander for the rich people from the government. So this is for people who really want to get into nature, love nature, want to spend time together as a family. That's why we're putting these on. And then, of course, I've got my advent calendar. So, you know, like you look at advent calendars and it's like wine, cheese, whiskies. I don't do those things. I don't want to get fat over Christmas. And I don't want cheap little plastic things in an advent calendar too, nor do I want Cadbury's chocolate. So I made my own, and it's 24 days of peace in
Lovely.
December. So you get a remedy or a tincture, or there's some full-size products in there as well. So your menopause blend, my magic balm, and you also get a connection. So you get a QR code and you get connection. You get a video from me, and it's going to give you 24 ways to just stay calm in December. And I'm really excited about it.
Yep. That sounds absolutely beautiful, and people will love to do that because it's different and it's natural. I Something I want to ask you that came to mind as we're speaking, when we look at society as a whole, there's been a real turning away, hasn't there, from land, from nature, and do you really see us moving more back towards that way of living?
I It would be good. I see it a lot more, but I think that's because the algorithm shows me people who like that. Um, I get people who come from the centre of London, and there's nowhere like this. We've got people coming from America for our big August gathering. There's
Wow.
nowhere like what we do.
Mm.
But I think that there are some people who are realizing it, and I think lockdown really did highlight that
Mm.
there is a better way. But then there is people who are just going deeper and deeper and deeper down onto that mouse hamster wheel,
Yeah.
and getting themselves so much caught up in, why do people feel so poor? It's because literally you can buy everything off Amazon, things that you really don't need. When you think about how our ancestors lived, you know, there was a table, there was a chair, there was a stove, there was a rug. You didn't need all of this clutter. And of course, if you didn't have all of that clutter, you didn't need to spend all your time tidying, you didn't need to spend all your time cleaning. So there are people who are going back to that way and realizing. There are other people who are refusing to even think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not there yet, are they?
No.
Just one final question, which is for you personally. Do you have a favorite song and why?
Do I have a favorite song?
Or a piece of music or just something you love?
I love dance. I
Yeah.
love anything with a heavy bass. I love being able to shake it out. So, like, my husband has classic FM on,
Yeah.
and as soon as he's out, I put dance.
Yeah.
Heart dance. The one I keep singing at the moment is Dear Jessie by Madonna.
Oh, lovely. Oh, right. Yeah, it's quite a unique song, isn't it, Dear Jessie? Yeah.
Yes. Not her normal thing at all, and I think maybe it's just
Uh,
because my inner child wants to feel happy, so I'm working a lot.
mm. Kathy, you've got such a fascinating life, and I love your story, and I just love the way how you've built this beautiful community and you and your husband together, and you put these events on for people, and it just sounds wonderful. And thank you for your time and energy today.
Thank you for having me, it's been lovely.
For more information about Kathy's work, please check the show notes for details. There's lots of links and offers there for you to consider. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Connection Compass podcast. If you think this episode will help somebody else, please leave a review. And remember, keep talking, keep connecting for a more interconnected world.